My name's Dan, and I'm living with metastatic dedifferentiated liposarcoma, also known as DDLPS. It's never easy hearing you have cancer. This is not a club that any of us wanted to join. I knew I could be sad and angry for a month, and then I had to let it go so I could have fun every day for however long I had. If you look at me today and how I am versus 5 years ago when I was a workaholic, it's kind of night and day, and I love it. I worked at surgical startups, vice president or chief commercial officer for about 30 years. I would stay in hotel rooms about 240 nights a year, 60 and 70-hour weeks, which is why I remain single forever and ever. No wife, no kids, but a bunch of cats. And lived on the beach in La Jolla, California. All my spare time was surfing or at the gym, so it was ridiculously healthy. I thought I'd work for another 10 years, and I'd retire to Montana, and I'd live till I was 105 years old. Was diagnosed in July of 2018, and then had lung metastasis about 8 months later in spring of 2019, and currently have about 14 different lesions in 4 of the 5 lobes. With DDLPS, most of them are in the abdomen. And unlike other cancers, unlike colon cancer, thyroid cancer, prostate cancer, the big ones for men, it's not an organ cancer. And the reason people don't figure out that they have, abdominal DDLPS is because it doesn't touch anything. So it just sits in there indolent and grows for a year, 2 years, 3 years, until, people have a belly sticking out, which is most men. When they did sarcoma surgery, the incisions are always huge because you want to take out the entire capsule and you want to take out the tumor, plus generally somewhere between 4 to 6 inches on either side to make sure that you have negative margins. So post-surgery, he came in, showed me a picture of it, and he said, "I'm pretty sure this is DDLPS. I'm 99.9% sure." So we knew that day. It took about 3 weeks to get the pathology report back and the FISH report back, which showed that it was positive for MDM2 and CDK4. And it's an extremely aggressive tumor. He said it's very high grade 3. And he said, look, I'll be clear with you on this. A grade 3 DDLPS has a very high probability of metastasis. When you get that diagnosis, you can't change that. There's nothing that can change that. It's like playing poker. You can't change the cards that you have, but you can absolutely make a strategy based on the cards that you're dealt, which was pretty much what I did from that day on. Everyone's sarcoma journey is unique. And I've learned a lot of things that might be applicable to other people. And not stack ranked in any order. I'd begin with be your best advocate. Everything that you choose to do treatment-wise is 100% up to you. And make sure that you learn to read peer-reviewed research so that when you go meet with your sarcoma teams, you're asking the kind of questions that allow you to make good decisions about what treatments you choose. So let's talk about, and this is when I mentor people, I say, let's talk about what your next year looks like. At some point, this is probably going to be the way that you die. So you can choose from now until that day, every single thing that you do. And that includes, and really important part, is palliative. And the right time to make decisions about palliative care and pain management is when you're not needing it. That's when you want to start talking about it, because everybody's going to die, but not everybody's going to die with a really good plan. I made 3 rules for friends and family, and the rules were, number 1, there's a billion other things we can talk about that are not cancer related. Because even when you're living with cancer, there's a lot of fun things you can talk about that have nothing to do with cancer. Number 2, don't ask me how I'm feeling. because I guarantee you 100% of the time, and I know a lot of sarcoma patients go through this, I feel terrible all day long. You're kind of putting on that sarcoma patient. You're either going to remind them that they have cancer and they're in pain all day, or you're going to force them to lie to you. The third one is, nobody's allowed to ask me about fake cancer cures. Have you thought about, and then insert the name of some tea, because I don't want to spend a minute talking about those. I figured I had somewhere between 18 and 24 months. So I think I'm going to do everything that I wanted to do from the age of 60 to 105 in the next 18 months. I decided to live in a Winnebago for however long I had after that, and got rid of about 90% of my possessions, donated all my furniture, donated 67 suits to a vets organization, got rid of most everything I owned, and moved the rest into the Winnebago. And I spent 4 months in northern part of Montana and had a ball up there. But I had fallen madly in love with Kanab, and I'd also really enjoyed spending every single day that I wanted to volunteering, taking care of animals. Whenever I'm around animals, everything else that's bothering me just melts away. If I'm having a tough day pain-wise, the next day if I go over to Best Friends, I forget about it. For whatever reason, dumb, stupid luck, I'm still alive and still living in Kanab. I don't have a whole lot of down times. I will say that, life changes a lot when you have, terminal cancer, metastatic cancer, because, you've got a shelf life and there's a lot of things that you probably still want to do, and you can yell about it, you can cry about it, whatever you want to do. Because when you're comfortable with the fact that you're going to die, it's way easier to make all those plans. Oddly enough, knowing that I will die at some point hasn't put a damper on that at all, not the least bit. And I've also found I've had more time not being a workaholic to talk to my sisters, my nieces, my nephews. I talk to them 100 times more now than I did before I got cancer, because 90% of my life was, filled with work for years and years. And, it's an odd thing to say maybe, but, I've enjoyed the last 3 years tremendously. Seriously, look at how beautiful that is.